Welcome into SPBL Live. We have a whole panel here today to discuss award voting odds. The media has put in their picks for every award odd, and we are going to be revealing the consensus odds today for the most improved player, defensive player of the year, MVP, and the championship team odds. Should have a lot to look forward to today. Before we get into that, uh, Garrett, I know that you've been in touch with a lot of league members and you have a lot of sources around the league. What can you tell us about what's been going on over the past 2 weeks since the last episode?
Well, 2 weeks, you'd think a lot would be coming down since it's about to start, but I haven't heard much. Not a lot of birds are chirping. So it's gonna be a big mystery to see what happens this season. I know the ball hogs are looking good, they're looking healthy, but other than that, man, I don't know. It's a bunch of just question marks.
Now, Titan, I know that you personally follow the flamethrowers pretty closely. And last time we talked on this podcast, there was some concerns about the flamethrowers. Chris Kina, who's typically seen as the captain of his teams and has had a lot of success in the SPBL, wasn't too confident a few weeks ago about his team. What can you tell us? Any updates there on that front?
Yeah, I actually do have some kind of pretty big updates. There's a flamethrowers. They seem to have a little team chemistry issue going on right now. I got some inside sources that have been telling me that they're not too communicative. Kind of an underrated quality of one of our guests here today, Carson Braswell, really coming alive, showing his team chemistry aspect that it could have really helped the scrappers. And now the flamethrowers, I'm not too really sure, man. They seem to not be driving, but I know these guys. I've played with every single one of them on the flamethrowers. Two of them, my closest buddies in the world. I have no doubt in my mind that when it comes down to it, once they step on that court, everything's going to be all right.
Now, Carson, obviously, we've talked a lot about what your loss means to the old scrappers and now rebranded as the flamethrowers. What do you think that they can do to get things back on track, chemistry wise, in your absence?
Yeah, great question there. Thanks for that. Yeah, so I know Chris has been trying to organize some practices. Just shooting the ball, watch it go through the net, get some confidence going. So I think that's always good. Just get some, maybe install a few basic plays here and there. And yeah, I think once they kind of get a game under their belt, they can kind of analyze how things went and learn what they can work on. And I think once they get the game film and can watch through their first game, I think that'll help a lot for their development and team chemistry.
As it should. Well, without further ado, let's go ahead and get into these first round of odds. We have the most improved player odds first up. As you can see, Travis Wilson is the clear favorite for most improved player at plus 380, followed by Alan Edeker and Luke Briers. And then beyond that, we have some longer shots uh, as we go down the board. You can really see at the top of the board, we have a lot of ball hogs crowded around up there. Luke, Josh, and Zach all in the top seven for the award. Uh, and then behind them, we have the group of gunslingers. Obviously, Bo Hightower not eligible for the award. Neither is Wilson Parker, given that they are new to the league and were not in it last season. But looking at the ball hogs and seeing how much of a jump they all could make, Garrett, do you think that's more so due to them needing to step up in your absence? Or do you think it's because of the fact that, as some say, Wilson may elevate them more than you were able to elevate them when you were playing on the ball hogs?
I would love to see that. Who knows? It just depends on how these guys play. If they play slower, I don't know how it's gonna go. Um, I'd like to see my guys up there in this award odds. Don't know about Zach being 1600. Um, Josh being 1450. He already played so well. I don't know. I think Luke's a pretty good value bet. Um, it's nice to see these guys up here. I don't know if Luke. wasn't the best last year, so I think he has a chance. If this team wants to succeed at a slower pace, then Luke really has to step up. So, but I really do want to see what Wilson can do. I think he can be better than me, especially in the post. So we'll see. He's a bigger dude than me. I mean, I do weigh like 95 pounds, so I'm curious to see what he does.
Yeah, it should be interesting to see how he compares to you. Obviously, there will be many comparisons made throughout the season between you and him. Over to Titan, you gave both Travis and Allen a 0% chance to win, yet we see them as the top two favorites on the board. What is the rest of the media missing here? Why do Travis and Allen have no case to win Most Improved Player?
So Travis and Allen, they can only really elevate in my eyes to like that role player level. And I don't really think that's quite going to be good enough with the influx of talent and new situations and everything. I think there's a lot more opportunity to have improvement elsewhere just from my perceived ceilings of these players. I think these guys could definitely improve their game, and I'm not saying that they're going to be bad or worse or anything like that. I just think that there are other guys. I'm thinking like Nate Bryers, who I'm really excited to see this year coming into the league. I know that's a kind of contentious opinion. He gets a lot of hate from the media, and I know that that kind of hurts me personally. Seeing the big media after him, but I know us indie media guys, out here representing Nate Bryers, and I think he's going to be a good guy. And he was my highest for most improved player. And so I'm really, really looking forward to seeing him out there.
Yeah, the media definitely has some discrepancies around Nate Bryers. There is definitely some love from him coming from you, obviously. On the other hand, Grant gave him just a 6% chance to win the Most Improved Player of the Year award, clearly well below the rest of the media consensus. But on another note, Grant, your top two for Most Improved Player were Drew and Chris Heights, and you followed up with your tied for third was Hunter Freeman. What is the rest of the media missing on these three players that they are so low on the board?
Yeah, so what we're going to see from Drew is that he's going to be taking on a big role for the Blues. And I think he was a great player when he played for the league 2 years ago, but I think that we're going to really see him come into his own this year. He's paired up with Neil again, so we're going to have the dynamic 1-2 right there. But I think Drew is going to be really the ball guy, the guy with the ball, the true point guard for that team. And so I think he'll be the main guy. And if that team does well, then I think you will see Drew get the award. And then with Heights, I think he's just kind of always a little bit underrated. I think he is a fantastic player, one of the best defenders in the league. I think he's going to have to step up a little bit more. Nate Smith isn't known for his defense, so he's going to have to make up a little ground there. So I just am a huge Chris Heights fan is really what that is. I think he has the opportunity to have a great season. And then Hunter's won the award twice already. So, why can't he make it three? So I think he could. We've been saying it for years that he could take a huge step up, and he has kind of improved. But I think this actually, could be the year that he takes another giant leap. And, like I said, he's won it twice. Why not make it three?
Yeah, statistically, Hunter is the most likely to win the award, having won 2 out of the 3 Most Improved Player of the Year awards in SPBL history. Kirsten, over to you. You only gave any chance to win the award to the top three, Travis, Allen, and Luke, as well as Zach. Looking back on it now, do you think anyone else on this board has a chance to take home Most Improved Player of the Year in 2025?
Well, I kind of looked at their stats from last year, and just I was trying to picture who I could see, really progressing from last year, and just like Travis, Allen, and Zach. I mean, they kind of stood out to me as the front runners for the players that I thought could really take a leap for this year. I know Allen was sitting at like 4 points and 8 rebounds a game. I don't see why he can't, scare like a double-double average each game. I think he's going to have to put on the offensive production a little bit, but I think it's really Allen's to lose, honestly. So, but I'd love to see Travis, drop like 17 and 9 a game and take their award. That'd be great. But, like I said, I just think Allen and Travis are probably the two guys, and I just don't really see anybody else really like being able to take a step up from their production from last year, basically.
Now, for each of the awards, we are going to go through the panel's best and worst bets on the board. We're going to go ahead and start with Titan. Who is your best and worst bet on the board for most improved player of the year?
I'm not a betting man. My mom raised me better, but if you gave me $100 and you said you had to place it on somebody, I think you know who I'm going with here. I'm going to take Nate Bryers, my number one in the odds. I think he's going to be the most improved. I think y'all are going to be shocked when y'all see a dog out there because he seems hungry and he's got the talent. I'm thinking we see like an emergence of a cat coming in, a Carl Anthony Towns, big man shooting threes, getting boards. I think we're about to see it all, and I'm super excited about it. So give me him. And I think a really bad bet here, I got to go with Sam Satterwhite. I just don't see how he could elevate his game. I think if he elevates his game, he wins MVP. I don't think he gets most improved. I think it's just a bad conversation. I don't see a scenario in the media narrative where Sam Satterwhite would win both MVP and most improved. I think he was already viewed as good, and I think his ceiling is just MVP. So that's my two right there.
Let's go over to Brazzy for your best and worst bets on the board.
Oh boy. This is for Alex Peterson right here, the betting man. Worst, I mean, I think Titan kind of nailed it with Sam Satterwhite, honestly. Like, averaging 20 points a game. He definitely can surpass 20 points a game for sure, but like I said, yeah, just more people would probably be leaning for him for MVP as opposed to most improved player. And then best, I did have Allen as my number one pick, so I think people doubting him a little bit. So I think I just have to say Allen would be the best bet there.
All right, let's get Grant's best and worst bets.
Yeah, I think the best bet for me would be Drew. I think, like I said, he has an opportunity to make a huge impact this season, and if those Blues are good, then he's gonna make some waves in this league. For worst bet, I think I'm leaning towards the Nate Smith bet. We've talked about it already. There's been some rumors swirling out of the Flamethrowers locker room. Nate Smith is already a great player. He's already got great offensive stats. So I kind of see how it would be difficult for him to surpass his previous years.
Understood. Now, lastly, let's get Garrett's best and worst bets for most improved player.
Yeah, before the rumors, I loved Nate Smith. I was always high on him to win it this year because I thought he'd get a lot of open shots. But before rumors. But if I'm betting on this, I'm taking Dave. Taking Dave Kina, and I think with the high IQ team like he has, he's gonna excel finally. He's due for a good season. He's due for a really good season. So I'm gonna take my $100 bet. I'm gonna win $2,000. I'm gonna put it on red. So I'm gonna be up pretty big on Dave here. So I think Dave actually wins this thing. 21-1 odds. I think he's gonna maybe get double digits, maybe average a double double. Um, and I think the worst odds for your money is Josh. The only reasoning is if they do slow the pace, Josh got a lot of open shots and a lot of open layups due to the fast pace. And if they slow that down, Josh is going to lose a lot of productivity.
That's some good analysis of your former teammate. That will wrap it up for our most improved player odds. As a reminder, these odds are all based on the media consensus. Next up, we are going to show you our Defensive Player of the Year odds. And as you can see right away, Bo Hightower and Wilson Parker, two newcomers, are the top two favorites for Defensive Player of the Year. Both are very highly anticipated for their respective teams, and they are followed closely by Chris Heights at plus 470. Beyond that, we have Drew and Chris before it starts to fall off fairly quickly. As you can see at the bottom of the board, there are a whole bunch of candidates at plus 50,000. And let's ask Carson, looking at the plus 50,000 candidates, do you think any of these guys might have a shot in the dark to win Defensive Player of the Year?
Oh boy, that's a tough one. Oh boy, maybe Dave. Like if I had to pick somebody, maybe him. That's probably. I mean, he's a tenacious player, and I think that he'll have to step up to help the gunslingers. And yeah, so I'll probably go with Dave.
I mean, they are plus 50,000 for a reason. There's not a whole lot of great options here for bets, but just wanted to add them in there. They are, in fact, on the board at plus 50,000. Garrett, you gave Chris Heights and Nate Bryers each a 0% chance to win Defensive Player of the Year, and here they are on the board at third and sixth, respectively. What is the rest of the media missing here? Why do you think that neither of them have a chance at winning Defensive Player of the Year in 2025?
Quite frankly, I think they're just better defenders. I think Bo Hightower wins it by a mile. I don't even think it's close. I think he's the best defender here, the fastest too. And Wilson, I think, is going to be really good as well. But looking at the rest of the odds, I guess the Ball Hogs are just giving up like 70 a game with all these guys at the back. Yeah, I think those two are just so much better. Chris is really, really, really good. But I don't think it's enough to win Defensive Player of the Year unless he gets like 3 charges a game. And then Drew is a really good perimeter defender, but if he gets switched on a big guy, I think he's just going to get beat.
It will definitely be interesting to see how some of the new guys work out. Titan, you were very high on both Bo and Wilson, who are at the top of the board in the odds. Do you think it is a truly two-horse race, or do you think there are some other candidates with good odds to win this award?
I mean, it is a 2-horse race, if you want to call it that. It's Bo. Like, let's be real. It's going to be Bo Hightower. Dude is an athletic freak, comes from the good lineage. Like, he's the least on Al-Ghaib. He's going to come into this league and take it over. Like, I'm so excited for it. I think this is Bo's, like, award to lose. Everything I heard about him, all my intel is, like, super, super good, super, super spick and span. So I'm super, super excited to see Bo. I think Wilson, I'm just treating him as like slightly worse Garrett right now. So like, of course, if you're gonna have slightly worse Garrett in there, you gotta like throw his name in the hat. Like he's never gonna go away. But I definitely think it's 1 and 2, and I definitely think Bo Hightower is 1.
Yeah, it will definitely be interesting to see how both of them come into the league and live up to expectations. Obviously, as mentioned, there will be a lot of comparisons drawn to Garrett as he's filling that role on the Ball Hogs, so it should be really fun to watch. Over to Grant. Grant, you were also very low on Nate Bryers. Like Garrett, you had him at just a 1% chance to win the award, yet he has the sixth best odds on the board. So, what do you think the reason is that there's such a discrepancy among the media? And why do you think that Nate Bryers has essentially no chance to win the award this season?
I mean, I kind of said it before. Nate's always kind of just disappointed me as a media member. I expect so much out of him. He's coming into before this season. He's always been the biggest man in the league, and he leads the league in blocks, I think. But he really doesn't get a ton of rebounds. He's not super mobile. He really hasn't added a lot to teams defensively, and I think this Blues team is going to struggle in a lot of ways defensively. And with Nate being their primary big man, I think that could be a real problem for them.
Yeah, this is definitely a hot topic among the media. Garrett, do you have anything else that you would like to add
Yeah,
to this?
just for the stat collectors, I'm curious on Nate Bryers' blocks that he leads the league in. I just want to know how many of those blocks are statistically to the worst player of every team. Like I want to take take that out, and I'm curious how many blocks he has.
We'll have to get our stat guy on.
Hey man, blocks are blocks. Like I don't know what you're talking about.
I'm just saying, like
turnovers are turnovers.
I would say a block against Chris Keene is a lot better than a block against Zach. No offense, Zach, but the
I'd say
value
a
is there.
turnover is a turnover. Taking the opportunity to get the ball out of the hands of the weakest players, good strategy in my opinion. As defensive player of the year is what I'm hearing.
I'm just curious. I want to know that stat. I would like to know mine as well, but
Now, Garrett, are you suggesting that Nate might be hunting out easier matchups on the other team to try to boost his block numbers for Defensive Player of the Year?
I know he has like 5 or 6 blocks against Zach. So I was just curious.
Well, we do have some good stat keepers out there, and we do have a good record of everything, so maybe they'll be able to pull that together. It obviously would be some discrepancy as to who the worst matchup on the other team is. Um, but maybe we'll be able to find out that information for you. For best and worst bets, I'm going to start with Titan. Who is your best bet? And correct me if I'm wrong, but is it Bo?
So I actually am going to correct you. If you gave me $100 and said I had to put it down, I like cannot pass up Nate Smith for plus 50,000. I'm sorry. Like that's my boy right there. Y'all don't know about the trio of me, Will, and Nate just being defensive animals, being absolutely locked down. Y'all don't know about that stuff, but I do. And so if he decides that he wants to play defense, the league is watched out, and I'm happily collected my 50 grand on that if he decides that he wants to win defensive player of the year, because he is the only player in that region who, if he decides that he wants to win defensive player of the year, he will win it. And I think he could compete for it if he really wanted to, because he's that guy. And so that's where I have to place my money, just because like it's a free $100 and I'd rather win 50 grand over $350. So the odds came into play here, even though I think this is Bo's award to lose. But the worst bet, I gotta go with other. I don't even know who else is like in the league. So I'm sorry to whoever else is in the league, but you ain't winning it. I can't even name you.
To clarify, everyone in the league is on the board. Other is representative of anybody who may join the league or substitute in to the league, whether it's for injuries or other conflicts. Obviously, we have seen this in the past. It is a regular thing within the SPBL. Allen took over for Sam last year on the Gravediggers, and we will have a good chance of seeing that again in the future.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I'm not betting on anybody coming in and winning defensive player of the year. That's my worst bet.
That's fair. Carson, let's give us your best and worst bets on this.
Yeah, so as much as I want to go with Chris Heinz and Kina for the maybe best bet, I think I gotta go with Jack Flynn. I mean, new to the league, he wants to prove his worth. I think he's gonna be hungry out there on defense. So I think Jack Flynn's the best bet on the board there. And then, oh boy, this hurts. But in terms of worst, I mean, I love these guys, but I got to go Travis and Neil tied. I mean, come on, there's just no way. It just is not going to happen. So I'm sorry, but Travis and Neil is for the worst for sure.
Let's go over to Grant for his best and worst bets.
Yeah, for my best bet, I think there's a lot of value in the Chris Kina bet right here. Chris has shown himself to be a fantastic defender. He's won the award. Obviously, a lot of hype around Bo and Wilson here, but I mean, if those flamethrowers come out looking like the scrappers have in previous years, I think Chris could really make himself a case for Defensive Player of the Year. And then worst bet, I mean, we've already mentioned it. I think it's got to be Nate Bryers here. I'm not a believer. I really haven't been for a while, and plus 1,400. I think that's a bit low odds, even. I guess too low of odds. So I got to go with Nate there.
Understood. Again, controversial here. Well, lastly, let's get Garrett's best and worst odds for Defensive Player of the Year.
Well, I was going to say Chris or Jack, and those got taken right away. So I'm actually, even though I was hating a little bit, I'm actually going to take Nate. I know Grant just said no, but I'm actually going to take Nate because he is a strong forced down low, and I'm really curious to see what he does against Wilson. If he stops Wilson, then he's going to skyrocket. So I think actually, I know it was kind of talking trash, but I'm going to say Nate's the best bet here at 1,400. Again, once he plays Wilson, we're all going to see really how it is. And then my worst bet, I'm sorry, Joe. What are you doing at 14,000 odds? What are we doing? Why is he not 50? What are we doing? I'm gonna say Joe's the worst. Sorry, Joe.
Now, it should be noted that Nate Bryers is the highest vote getter from last season in Defensive Player of the Year that is returning this season. Obviously, the top two, Garrett and Michael, are not in the league in 2025 with Garrett's official retirement. They are getting replaced by Bo and Wilson, who are now the two favorites for the award. But Nate Bryers, again, the highest vote getter from last year that is returning this season. So maybe the plus 1,400 is a bit too low for him. But that wraps up our Defensive Player of the Year odds. Next up is our MVP odds that we will be showing you right now. As you can see, Chris Kina is your favorite for MVP at plus 300. He's followed closely by Jack and Sam. Jack Flynn, obviously the highly anticipated newcomer, second in MVP odds already. We saw Sam Satterwhite, who was also very highly anticipated last year. He's back up there again this year. Followed closely by Wilson Parker at plus 520. Those are your four consensus favorites. Now, over to Grant. Do you think that anyone outside of this consensus top four has a real chance to contend for an MVP this season? Obviously, a lot of newcomers, a lot of new team compositions. Who might have a chance to take home the award as a dark horse?
Yeah, absolutely. I think Bo here has a great chance. We've talked about him a lot for the Defensive Player of the Year. He's got a lot of hype coming in. So, I mean, he's just outside the top four. He's number 5. I think he could have a great season. One of Drew or Neil has a real chance. Whichever one of them really takes over that team, assuming that the Blues, do well there, I think either one of them could make a real good case for MVP. And then there's some other outside shots like Nate Smith. If he continues his offensive dominance and steps it up on the defensive side of the court, he could make a chance. And then Hunter Freeman, if he takes that big leap that we've all been hoping for, then I think he's also got a good chance. But I like that top 4. Maybe throw in Bo as just kind of top 5, lump them all together. But I think that's a real good top 4.
And on the note of Bo Hightower, Titan, you have become known as somewhat of a Bo Hightower fan, as you may put it. Yet, out of all the media members, you were the lowest on him for MVP this season, and you had Jack Flynn as your favorite for MVP. So, can you explain why, of all people, you were the lowest on Bo this season to come out and win MVP despite what you've said about him in the past?
I absolutely love Bo Hightower, and I think he's going to be a phenomenal piece to this game. But it's not his team; it's Sam Satterwhite's team. I don't see there being a situation where Sam Satterwhite isn't like the MVP candidate on that team, just being the ball handler, having the ball in his hand, he's going to be the main scorer. I think Bo Hightower is going to be that piece to elevate his game, to finally get him to those MVP numbers, both in terms of stats and wins. I think he's just going to be that like great, excellent player, not necessarily the MVP on the team, at least this year, but that like ultimate team player piece to elevate the team to that next level. So that's why I was a lot higher on Sam Satterwhite and a lot lower on Bo Hightower, just because I don't necessarily think it's 1A, 1B. It's definitely 1 and 2, but that 2 is just the best 2 in the league. And the reason I have Jack Flynn as my like highest MVP is because if that team is good, it's going to be because of Jack Flynn. That team, in my opinion, is pretty, excuse my French, ass. And so if they're good, it's going to be because Jack Flynn is that guy. And if Jack Flynn's that guy, he's going to win MVP. It's simple as that. And so I just bet on the fact that like, hey, if they're like a decent team and like go win some games, then like it's going to be because Jack Flynn's that guy. And so that's why he was my number 1 for MVP odds.
It will certainly be interesting to see how the duo of Sam and Bo plays out on the floor. Definitely an exciting duo to watch this season. Now, looking back at the top of the board with Chris Kina, Carson, you were the highest on Chris by a good bit, and he does obviously come in as the favorite for the award. He's won MVPs in the past, but how much of this is due to your relationship with him and your previous spot on his team versus you actually believing that he should be the clear favorite to win the award this season?
Yep, that's another great question. But first, let me sorry, Titan, I kind of gotta push back on something about you said about the Mean Machine. I mean, we got to put some respect on Hunter, Rob, and Travis. I mean, they can play some ball, so But I get your point. I get your point. But yeah, with Chris,
just ask yourself how bad Hunter was to win Most Improved twice.
He's a good player. That's all I gotta say. But yeah, I mean, Chris, we had a disappointing end to the season last year. So I think Chris is gonna, have something to prove to himself and the rest of the league. So yeah, no, the fact that I played with him for the past 3 seasons, it definitely did have something to do with, me putting him at the top of the list. But it's just because I really do believe that he can be that guy to show the league that, last year was, a little bit of a fluke maybe, and he's going to guide the team back to the promised land. So I think, I truly do believe, just playing with him and seeing, how determined he's been this past offseason, I think he's the top choice for MVP for sure.
He's definitely always motivated to continue to win in the SPBL. We'll have to see if his dominance can continue or if he can return to dominance, I should say, with the absence of you on the team. Now, looking at the bottom at the plus 50,000 guys, it's interesting to note that the flamethrowers have nobody at the plus 50,000 odds, whereas the ball hogs have three of the four players at plus 50,000. This may be the media underrating some of these guys. Garrett, when looking at this and seeing that all three of them, your former teammates, are at plus 50,000, do you think that this could be, seen as disrespectful to them? And do you think any of them could be a dark horse chance to win an MVP this season?
Probably not. But I will say Josh can. But again, like I mentioned earlier, I think the slower pace is going to lower his productivity. And depends if they just pick up a half court offense without me. I don't know. They might have been working on it, but I think Luke and Josh could thrive through that. Zach, I love you, buddy, but you're just not in the MVP talk. And then, yeah, I mean, Josh could, but I think if anyone were to win it, it'd be Wilson for sure. I don't. Yeah, I'm really curious to see what Wilson does, but yeah, no, I don't think any of the other three could.
It's definitely been a star-led team in the past with you, and it looks like it could be that way again this season with Wilson. And before we move on to the best and worst bets on the board, we have to address the elephant in the room here with Titan on the board at plus 34,000. Titan, you mentioned that the other category for Defensive Player of the Year has no chance to win. That was your worst bet. Yet here you are, not even in the league, sitting at plus 34,000 and ahead of some pretty solid players in the league. Uh, can you explain why you are on the board here and why you think that you might have a better chance to win MVP than some of these other players that are below you in the plus 50,000 range?
That's accurate. That's true. It's just so there's like a non-zero chance that I play, right? And if I do play, I'm winning MVP. I'm that guy. Like I don't know if y'all understand. Like I am that guy. And I've totally morphed my game. That's why I voted worst bet other because I'm no longer a defensive player. I don't do defense anymore. I'm a pure hooper. Like I'm just a bucket now. I'm dropping 100 points. I'm going Wilt Chamberlain. Everyone's going to be in awe. It's going to be absolutely incredible. A sight to see. Like I'll do that, and then I'll call the game afterwards, and y'all are going to be like, "Damn, this dude is really him." And it's true. It's true. I am that guy. This is not like a funny thing. This is just straight facts. I do deserve better odds than everybody else in that category to win MVP.
Hey, there's definitely an opportunity for you. All it takes is one opportunity, and if you do happen to be down there, maybe you could, in fact, make the impression on the voters to win MVP, get yourself on the ballot, and take it home. Obviously, it would require a lot of work out of you, a very strong performance to say the least, or maybe multiple performances, but. Uh, yeah, I'm not really sure what to make of these odds, but you are sitting here on the board at plus 34,000.
I also just want to say that I can shoot free throws too, so that automatically makes me like top of the line for MVP conversation.
And free throws are definitely hard to come by in the league, so it is a valuable asset, although it might be a bit less valuable now with the implementation of the Elam ending. Uh, but again, uh, interesting to see you on the board to say the least. But let's go back to you for your best and worst bets for MVP in 2025.
All right, so I think my best bet, I'm looking, and I think this one. I think I'm just like I already made 50 grand with Nate winning DPOY. So I think this one I'm gonna take the easy Chris Kina. Take my easy 300. Not gonna get greedy. I think the flamethrowers are gonna be good this year. I think they're gonna be really good this year, and I think Chris Kina is gonna be a really big reason why they're really good this year. So that's my pick. And worst bet, I gotta go Rob for 30 plus 34K. Like he should be a 50K. I'm sorry, but yeah, I'm not. I don't think Rob needs to be like. I'm kind of disgusted. He's on my level. I can't lie. Like I think he needs to be a tier below me. And yeah, that's my thoughts on that.
There definitely is a corner of the media that uh, gives Rob some extra support for sure. But Carson, let's hear your best and worst bets for MVP in 2025.
Yeah, I mean, I think the obvious best bet is my guy Chris Heights. I mean, the fact that he's plus 34,000 is just crazy. I know he's a polarizing player, but I mean, he's known for his great defense, and I'm sure he'd be the first to tell everybody that maybe his offense, he didn't have the best offensive season last year, but I think that he could take a step up offensively, and Chris and Nate are going to be getting a lot of defensive pressure on the flamethrower. So Chris is probably going to have a little more room to work around and get some shots off. So I think Heights is the obvious best bet on the board right there. And in terms of worst, I think I got to go with Josh Kina. I'm sorry, I've never met the guy, and I'm looking forward to meeting him. But I just 5,300. That seems a little high for him. So I think that's the worst bet on the board there for MVP.
Yeah, Josh Keenan is a bit higher on the board than one would probably expect. But let's go over to Grant for your best and worst bets for MVP in 2025.
Yeah, so I mean, for my best bet, I think this might sound like a bit of a departure here, but I think the Nate Bryers plus 50,000 is crazy odds. If he actually does put up the defensive player of the year season that some people are claiming that he will, and if he does, have the fire under his butt that he claims he has, then I think we could see a good year out of him. I don't think we'll get an MVP season from him, but at plus 50,000, those are the dice that I'm willing to roll. And for worst bet, I can't decide between Titan and Josh. We've said it before. Titan's not in the league. That's a tough bet to make. And yeah, Josh at plus 5,300 is kind of crazy. I think I have an idea of who put him that high, but I don't see how he could possibly win it over people like Chris Heights.
Now, it's interesting, Titan. We do have you here live to respond to the comment from Grant here, calling you potentially his worst bet on the board. What do you make of Grant's comments and accusations towards you?
I mean, it's like his money that he's going to be losing. I'm just saying there's a non-zero chance I play. It means there's a non-zero chance that I'm like guaranteed MVP. Because if I get down there, I'm just saying, I'm graduate my training in a week, and there is an opening where I could possibly go down and be at a game. I don't know if there's going to need a sub or anything, but I'm just saying that there's a non-zero probability that I am going to a game. And if I get to play in a game, that's guaranteed MVP. And I played with Josh Keena, and I'm just letting you know that I'm the bet there. I'm definitely a better bet there than Josh Keena for MVP. That's all I'm going to say.
The confidence is definitely very inspiring. But I should note we just received word from our production team. Our graphics team actually mixed up the Joshes when putting this graphic together. Josh Briers is supposed to be the one at plus 5,300, and Josh Keena is the one that's supposed to be at plus 50,000. So that might give a bit of an explanation as to why some of these bets have been made. At the same time, Titan, that does essentially clarify you as Grant's worst bet on the board. But yeah, Josh Keena is supposed to be at plus 50,000, and Josh Briers is supposed to be at plus 5,300. And that might give some clarity into Garrett's comments earlier about Josh's chances as well.
No, that's a bad take.
All right, let's get over to Garrett's best and worst odds on the board.
I think my best would be Neil at 2,100. I just think with Drew, he can maybe get a lot more open shots, and the chemistry would be a lot better. It'd be the best chemistry Neil's had ever in this league. So I think that'll help a lot, and he can really improve his game. And worst, I think, is Hunter. I just don't think there's any way. If anyone were to win it on Meme Machine, it definitely would not be Hunter. So I just think there's just no chance at Hunter winning the MVP with Jack on his team. So I think that one's the worst bet. And also there are rumors floating about that Zach might be sick on the week the Titans there. So if Titan plays, that's also a good bet as well. So there's rumors that Zach might be sick. So if Titan were to play for the Ball Hogs, then they're winning by 70.
Like I said, all it takes is one opportunity for Titan, and Titan believes the same of himself. So definitely would have to make a strong impression. But that wraps up our discussion of the MVP odds for 2025. A lot of great candidates here. Should be a fun and exciting race to follow throughout the season. Last up, we have our odds for each team's chances at winning the championship. Again, the media consensus odds, championship odds for each team as shown here. As you can see, the flamethrowers and the gunslingers are the two clear favorites on the board, sitting at plus 200 and plus 270. It looks like it might be a bit of a two-horse race, according to the media, with the Ball Hogs, Mean Machine, and LA Blues grouped together in the 600 range behind the top two. Uh, Obviously, the flamethrowers returning Chris Kina as the lead, as well as Chris Heights from a team that almost won the championship. Ball Hogs slipping a bit from their championship level down to third in this year's consensus odds. Obviously, the media was pretty low on them last year, but Carson, you were the clear highest on the flamethrowers
Yeah,
out of
I mean,
everybody.
getting such an offensive upgrade with Nate Smith is huge. Really, takes some pressure off of Chris, and it also takes a lot of pressure off of Heights as well. So I just think that it really opens up a whole new world for the scrappers, the flamethrowers. Like I said, I think Chris will just have so many more open. I mean, it just really opens it up for everybody. So that's gonna be huge for them. So yeah, that's kind of my thoughts on that.
That's fair, and it should be interesting to see how Nate fits into the new look flamethrowers, the new scrappers, I should say, rebranded as the flamethrowers. Garrett, you were the clear highest on the ball hogs, who slot in at third. You have them as your clear favorite to win overall. What makes you think they can do it without you this season? Obviously, as we mentioned, you are being replaced by Wilson. What do you think about their chances to win, and why do you have them returning as the favorite this season in 2025?
I mean, they've done it once already. So I know they don't have me this year, but I hear Wilson's a really good ball player and probably the best post player in the league, and I'm really excited about it, especially with Josh. I think Luke's going to have hopefully a big step up. He's going to need it for this team, but with the chemistry already in place, I'm not shocked this team can make a run, just like we did last year. So I think we won the championship by 20. So yeah, this team can make a run. I think they will. I think they'll win it all again. So Wilson will have a good year, and probably if they were to win, he would have to have an MVP season. So
as you did last year. And again, as we mentioned, Ball Hogs got some disrespect from the media last season, and it appears that the media still has not overall given them the credit where it may be due now after winning a championship. Although you are now on the media panel to give them that and boost them up a little bit from the bottom last season. Grant, you had the Blues lowest by far. Can you expand on that and why you had them so low?
Yeah, I've kind of talked about this before when we did the team reveal. I don't have a ton of faith in the Neil Drew team up. I think that there might be some friction there. I think they're both great players individually. I worry about what will happen if you put them together. They played together before and they look pretty good doing it, but in a full-time capacity, I think there might be some friction over who is the guy for that offense. And then, I mean, I've got concerns about their interior defense. I've got concerns about their rebounding. Nate Briers, I mean, he's 6'4", but he gets 11 rebounds per game. I just that concerns me. So I think the addition of Allen could help with some of that interior defense. I know he's locked up Hunter Freeman in the past, so he's got some upside there, but I just don't think they have the whole team. I think, according to my player rankings, that their best player, Neil, was the lowest of any of the best players on the team. I don't think I had anybody on their team in my top 7. So I just don't have a lot of faith in the Blues.
Blues are definitely an interesting team to try to sort out, given that they don't have any perceived stars on the team like some of the other teams do, but they are suggested to be possibly the most well-rounded team in the league. So it'll be really interesting to see if they can work out a system together to become better than the sum of the parts, so to speak. Titan, you were pretty even on all of the teams across the board, except you had Mean Machine as the lowest by a good bit. The other 4, Flamethrowers, Gunslingers, Ball Hogs, and Blues, were all very close in your rankings, but Mean Machine well below them. Yet you had Jack as your favorite to win MVP. You're kind of giving some mixed signals here on your feelings towards the Mean Machine. Can you set the record straight on what you think about the Mean Machine in 2025?
Well, it's simple. I think that if they were to be good, Jack would win MVP, and I think there is some odds of that, but they're not. They're not going to be good. It's this team. This team I'm predicting to be a train wreck. I wouldn't be surprised if this is Jack Flynn's first and last season in the SPBL. The commissioner may have to, do some what is that? Maverick magic like that just happened to get Jack Flynn happy to stay in this league. I don't know. I'm not feeling this team at all. I don't think that they're going to be good. I don't see it. I don't see this team working together. I've waited too long on Hunter to be good, and then just Travis is like solid, and then Rob. You already heard my thoughts on Rob, so I'm just not feeling this team at all. This team is not it. Jack Flynn only gets my respect because I know he's a good player, and if he can carry this team to a championship, then he deserves to be number 1 and MVP.
Now, could you see a scenario in which Jack Flynn still wins MVP if Mean Machine finishes, let's say, outside of the top 3 in the league?
No, no, there's I can't see it. This league, there's a lack of scoring problem. You don't have like too much scoring. I think if Jack Flynn were to be playing at an MVP level, they should definitely be a top 3 team just from scoring volume alone. I can't see a scenario where where he's scoring like a ton of points and they're losing. That just doesn't seem right. So I can't really see that happening. I hope that he can for his sake, but other than that, no, I don't see it.
Now, for this, we're going to get everyone on the panel's uh, team that they are riding with for the season based on the odds on the board. Uh, with the season opener less than a week away, everyone has to pick a team that they are going to ride with for this season. We're going to start off with Titan. Who are you riding with based on the odds here in 2025?
Give me gunslingers. Give me gunslingers all day long. I love Sam Satterwhite. I think he's potentially like one of the best, if not the best players in the leagues. You're giving him the best number 2 in the league, an absolute dog, an absolute athlete. Nothing in basketball wins like hustle. Trust me, I know that. Hustle is the name of the game. You throw a dog out there, you throw an athlete into the ring, he's gonna dominate. He's gonna do good things for you. You give Sam Satterwhite that plus his surrounding cast. I like it. I like it. I think it's good. I think it's much better than like Mean Machines, than what they have to work with. So like if you're giving me a team that I got to ride with for the season, my analytical brain is going to go gunslingers. My heart obviously to the flamethrowers.
The Gunslingers, obviously a very highly anticipated team this season. Carson, am I correct to assume that your team that you are riding with for the season is going to be the Flamethrowers?
Yeah, I mean, I think it'd be foolish to go with anybody other than the flamethrowers, but I will say, I do think the Blues will surprise people. I picked Allen to be my most improved player. I think that Nate is going to, hear the kind of the hate maybe coming his way, and I think he's gonna have a good season for sure. And then, I think Neil can really go on tears in terms of scoring when he wants to. So, and then Drew is gonna show out as well. So I think the Blues are definitely someone to look out for. They're getting a little disrespected, but like I said, I think the Flamethrowers are gonna win the title for sure.
And Garrett, is it fair to assume that you are going to be riding with the Ball Hogs here again in 2025, your former team?
Yeah, it is. I mean, if I wasn't so big on them, dude, they'd be last. I mean, I was pretty big on the ball hogs. I'm not gonna lie, and they're like, I mean, they're 10 above. So I do think the ball hogs will repeat, and I do think the most fun team to watch will be the Blues. I think they're gonna be really fun to watch because I mean, you just don't know. You don't know if they can really play well, if everybody clicks. So I'm definitely gonna tune in. Definitely have a beer in my hand, watching highlights of the Blues. But yeah, I think the Ball Hogs are the best bet to win it all this year.
I will say everyone else on the media panel had the Ball Hogs as a bottom 2 team in the league this season, despite the fact that they just came off a title and the fact that the media had them last year with the odds. Maybe this is a good sign for the LA Blues going into this season, seeing how wrong the media was last season with the Ball Hogs. Uh, Grant, what who are you going to be picking this year to take the title home based on these odds? You seem to be high on both the flamethrowers and the gunslingers. Who are you going to be riding with this year in 2025?
Yeah, honestly, I think that these odds here are pretty accurate about how I'm feeling about this league. I think it's going to be about a coin flip between the flamethrowers and the gunslingers, um, and then it's going to be everybody else. I think some of the other teams could do well; they could make themselves a run, but at the end of the day, I think it'll be one of the flamethrowers or the gunslingers. I'm giving the edge to the flamethrowers. I think the trio of the two Chris's and Nate Smith are going to be near unstoppable offensively. It's just a matter of if their defense can hold up to that Scrappers standard. But I'm going to tune out the noise coming from the locker room. I think the flamethrowers are going to take it.
It'll definitely be interesting to see how they come out to start the season. Obviously, we've talked a lot about some rumors behind the scenes, but there you have it. Those are the odds for the championship, and that is all that we have here for you today. We're going to have a very exciting season ahead of us. It should be really exciting to see how the award races shake out, which teams take over the league, if there's any surprises here down from the bottom of the board. We'll definitely be with you throughout the season calling games. We look forward to having you back with us starting right away this weekend with coverage of opening night between the Ball Hogs and the Gunslingers. With that, we're going to sign out. SPBL Live will be back throughout the season. Thank you for joining us.